How's it going, ladies and gentlemen? My name is RUFFLEDLIVE, and welcome back to a brand new video, guys. Today we got some massive breakdowns to go through in terms of like recent leaks and rumors and stuff like that. So just a fair warning, there will be a lot of stuff to talk about here that's going to be spoiled. So don't watch this unless you want spoilers. Just fair warning right now. But let's get into it right away, starting things off from right here. So as I mentioned, there is a lot of information. There's info from Riddler. There's info from the other like leaker guy, the Kaka guy. He's been posting stuff as well. And this has all been compiled by different people. We're going to look at the compilation here from Centro first. We also have one from Light Gotcha and also one from Draconis from Podcast. But let's get into the info right away. Sorry if you hear a fan in the background. It's literally extremely warm like an oven in here. So the first things first. There's a new single stage flying fighting flamenco Pokemon. I'm assuming this is the new leaker and this is what he's been saying. But this info, we know that there's a flamingo Pokemon, right? We haven't seen a leaked image of it. But as for the typing, we didn't know that. I guess now we do, which is a flying fighting type, which is pretty crazy. I'm gonna be honest. A flying fighting type. I mean, it gives me, I guess, what, like Halucha-esque vibes then, I would argue. Kind of like that vibe is what I'm getting. Then he says there aren't any new evolutionary stones. Now, this is kind of self-explanatory. Of course, there wouldn't be. Why would there be? Is there any reason they would do it? Not really. Not surprising at all. I'm guessing somebody asked him that question. He just said no. Then comes the big one. And this is the massive one, okay? Palmy's evolution learns a new move which only has one PP, aka one-time use, that revives one of your Pokemon. Welcome to Gen 9 Competitive. Ladies and gentlemen, that's ridiculous. You guys gotta understand, this is gonna make it that everybody's gonna be using Palmy. At least in competitive, everybody's gonna be using it. Why? Because it's a free revive of one of your other Pokemon that could be still more useful. On top of the fact that Palmy itself, if it's going to have the electric fighting typing, as has been said by the leakers, if it's going to have a combo of those two, you got to think about it logically, it's going to be ridiculously powerful. Like, everybody in VGC is going to be using it. So, enjoy watching, like, Gen 9 Competitive, because it's just going to be stacked with Palmy all the time. You know, it's going to be ridiculous, because people will definitely have a Palmy on their team at all times, just for that free revive, which is going to be ridiculous, if true. I mean, this is insane, okay? Just insane. Which I guess makes sense because of its hands being like electric and like kind of like defibrillators almost, which is just strange, man. But we continue on though to some other info. He says the old leaker, and here's referring to the Riddler, and he says there's a new fire grass Pokemon. It's not Smoliv Evo. So yes, there is a brand new, for the first time ever, fire grass type Pokemon, or grass fire type, doesn't matter which order you look at it, but a fire grass type is going to be happening, but it's not Smoliv. It's not part of it. Like, people used to speculate for a while now, since the reveal of Smoliv, that it was going to turn into a fire grass type. However, according to the leaker Riddler, he's specifically saying that it's not a Smoliv Evo, it's a brand new separate Pokemon. That has nothing to do with that one, which is interesting to say the least. Next up, Palmy is a three-stage Pokemon. It was actually speculated by Soul Silver Art, our boy, shout out to him. He actually speculated that Palmy's going to have a baby version of itself, and then Palmy's actually the middle stage, and then the final stage is the Palmy evolution that we've been seeing. So that's what he's been speculating in regards to that Palmy is actually a three-stage Pokemon, but that the first stage is actually a baby Pokemon. But yeah, that might actually be the case. Then that Fuecoco's evolution will have a flame shaped like a bird on its head. Now, this is something we already knew, but now it's been just more added. But that could either be there's been a speculated idea of like a rooster flame almost on its head, which wouldn't be that crazy if you think about it. It is doable. I think we already discussed some ideas on what this could look like, which I'm curious to see how that's going to, turn out. And that the new Dolphin Pokemon has a big surprise, right? It's going to be a big surprise with a Dolphin Pokemon. What that surprise is going to be, no idea. But then he also clarified it was actually Grass Fire. And in Palmy Evo, we have seen it is the third stage. This is the third stage of the Palmy evolutionary line. And then he says some of the new ancient and future species share a mutual new ability. Now, what that ability is, I think has been clarified somewhere else a bit further, but here I don't really get a clarification further on it. I think the ability was the H ability, the ability, right? H ability or whatever. So either that's like a new ability or a hidden ability that they're going to be having, but what that's going to be, we don't really know yet. There is a speculation that the brand new ancient Pokemon and future Pokemon, which are, let's just call them the time Pokemon. The time Pokemon, which are more or less like, I guess, like not really regional forms, but like forms that are from different time frames, and are going to not even be able to evolve, by the way. So apparently these are not going to be evolving, okay? And we're going to look through a list of all the ones that have been confirmed so far, and I'm going to talk about that. But based on what we know right now, they're not going to be able to evolve, and there's quite a few of them, and there's ancient and future versions that are probably going to be exclusive between Scarlet and between Violet. So, there's that. Then we continue on. And continue to the next part. The hardcore queen, previously teased to get a future species, is actually Glade. So there has been that talk about a hardcore queen Pokemon, and apparently that's going to be a new form of Glade. Which is weird, strange. It's odd, but it's going to get a future form of itself. That's because its future species is actually a combination of Gardevoir and Glade. So a combo of both, which is quite interesting. I'm very, very, very curious how that's going to look. Then, Future Glade is based on an Archer, and this was actually, I think, confirmed like today. I think this was posted by the Riddler today, this information, so there's that. In Japanese, all the future Pokemon are called something like Iron plus original names. So, for example, like Iron Glade, Iron Delibird, etc. So just think of it at that. Now, how that's going to fully function, no clue. If that's going to be the way they're going to be called, Iron this, Iron that, I don't know. Or if it's going to be like, instead of Glade, it'll be like Iron Lade or whatever, like something like that. Or Iron Bird instead of Delibird, something like that, maybe, possibly. We continue on. Dunsparce evolution is very similar to the current Dunsparce, just bigger. So, like, it's just going to be a larger Dunsparce, which is fine if they can make it actually interesting and not just boring and lame. But if they actually make it interesting, I think that's honestly cool, and they could go really far with this, and they could do some interesting stuff with it. But if that's all it is, and it's not even going to be, any deeper than that, I'm going to be honest, it's a bit disappointing. I'm going to be honest with you. It's a bit disappointing if they're not going to go any deeper than that, okay? Like, if they go deeper, then fair enough. If they don't, then honestly, it just doesn't seem worth it. Then they say there's a new 2-stage ice Pokemon based on an icicle. So that's going to be interesting. And there's a new 2-stage salt Pokemon that's based on literal salt, which is also a little strange. But then you continue on saying new Pokemon based on an engine, which is also a bit strange. And apparently one of the ancient and future species that has already been leaked actually has both an ancient and future species, and that one is actually Volcarona. We're going to look through, again, like I said, the list of the ones that have been confirmed and speculated so far. There's another one that also has both ancient and future forms. The other one that has both ancient and future forms is very random. So there's 2 Pokemon that can have both ancient and future forms. And so far, one of them we know, I think, and the other one we don't really fully know. Also, the old leaker, aka Riddler, is claiming that it's incorrect that no older starters are in the game. So at least one older starter is there, but they don't clarify whether they mean available in the region or only via home. So we don't know. Because there is that whole idea of, like, none of the old starters are going to be in the game, at least base version of the game, as of right now, based on the information we've received. But again, that can all change and, be shaped differently. So we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. Either way, we continue on. Let's see, it says here that the engine Pokemon is a 2-stage line. The hammer fairy Pokemon, which has been confirmed, so it's a Pokemon that carries a big hammer or something like that, is a 2-stage line. And the new leaker is now claiming that it's actually Bisharp that's the one getting a new evolution and not Pawniard getting a split Evo. So apparently a new Bisharp evolution, if you think about it, so look at this. Pawniard and Bisharp and them, they're based on chess pieces, right? Literally based on chess pieces. If you look at Pawniard's based on the pawn, right? It's in the name, Pawniard, pawn. It's basically the most basic piece that can turn into any other piece if you cross, from your side to the end of the other, like your opponent's side. You can kind of, more or less change it into any other piece. Here's the other thing, though, as well. The evolution is Bisharp, which is based on the bishop, right? Which is another piece within chess. The next possible stage would probably be the king or the queen, right? In terms of evolution. So we've been speculating during today's podcast over at Pokemaniacs, we've been speculating that it's possible that it's going to get, like, one singular evolution that may have gender differences. So a male version that looks slightly different from a female version, so that one can look like it's more like a, the queen, and one look more like it's the king. Something like that. But it's not going to be 2 different forms. It's just going to be literally a gender difference between them. So they're the same Pokemon, just the male version might look more like the king, and a female version might look more like the queen. So that's kind of what we're thinking about that one. We continue on. Confirmed. We reached the 1,000 Pokemon milestone this generation, which does seem possible and realistic. So there you go, guys. What do you think about that? The 1,000 Pokemon milestone, that would be pretty crazy. Also, Volcarona is also getting a future species, and this is the one that's getting 2 versions in 2 games. A Gen 2 Pokemon also gets both an ancient and future species. A pseudo-legendary gets an ancient species. Note, a previous version of this tweet mentioned Klinklang. That was incorrect, which, yeah. And the old leaker, Rinlaku, mentioned there's a new Cayman Rider-inspired Pokemon, and this is going to be a brand new bug type, I think, as far as I know, and Cayman Rider is like this... I think I remember what it's called, like Osagatsu. Like, basically, think Power Rangers type guy. But this guy has, like, almost like a mask that looks like he's like a fly or an insect or something. So it makes sense. So kind of think of a humanoid, I guess, esque type of design, which is interesting. But we don't fully understand it because the way the Riddler kind of explained it, it was a little bit confusing. I'm not going to lie. So here is actually a full list of all the currently leaked regional forms, cross-gen evos, ancient future species, and the convergent species. Now, before we look into these, and you guys can stop the video here and look at all these if you want to, but before we look at that, I want to first go and look at the actual explanations that Central provides here for what all of these are, because it's actually a pretty decent explanation. So here we start from the top. Ancient and future species. An ancestor or descendant for a current Pokemon, so that have time traveled from the past or the future. These species don't evolve. They're standalone Pokemon, but with high stats. They're basically classified as brand new Pokemon with their own name and Pokedex number, and they kind of function almost like legendaries in a sort of way. Not literal legendaries, but kind of. They're kind of like legendary in a sense. Not literal legendary Pokemon, but legendary in a sense. And basically, these Pokemon will time travel from either the future or the past, right? We're going to look at which ones those are, but they're time traveling, and they don't evolve. So you might get a potential, let's say, Misdreavus, right, is one of the ones that we've been told is going to happen. But that Misdreavus won't be able to evolve. It will just stay as a Misdreavus, but it will look different, and it's not going to be called Misdreavus. It will have a different name. The way I compared this was by basically saying, like, the way you should look at this is like this, okay? Basically, if you look at ancient animals like the saber-tooth and today's, like, the saber-tooth tiger and today's tiger, they are technically connected, but they're not the same. You can't say that the tiger is the same animal as a saber-tooth. Saber-tooths are extinct, right? Same way that Tasmanian tigers are also extinct, right? They're not the same as regular tigers. Sure, you can technically say that they all came from one original place, or that, you know, regular tigers, you know, carry the DNA, etc. of that. But at the end of the day, they're still different things. And basically, these ancient and future species Pokemon are the same premise, right? They're the same concept. Basically, your regular Pokemon, like, let's say, Amoonguss, which is getting, Amoonguss is getting, you know, one of these ancient and future species forms or whatever. Guess what? This new Pokemon that we're going to see from the past or the future, most likely past in this case, that's not Amoonguss. That's a different thing. The same way that a saber-toothed tiger is not a regular tiger. It's not a Bengal tiger or whatever, right? It's not your regular. Same way, you know, like, if you think about ancient crocodiles, possibly, actually, they're a bit different. But think about, like, even humans, right? There were different kinds of, well, you know, existing humans that evolved from monkeys and cavemen and stuff. There were, you know, Homo sapiens, us. But then there were also Neanderthals and other kind of, you know, species of human that existed. And sure, we looked similar and everything, but we're technically different. And that's the same premise you have to kind of apply to this feature, is what you have to keep in mind, right? Basically, ancient and future species, they're basically different Pokemon, but that, or like, you know, they were maybe either originated or, you know, were or turned into something different, right? So basically, you know, these future versions are how they changed over time in the future, and they're no longer connected directly to the old version. They have their own separate name, their own separate Pokedex entry, and their own everything, right? They're a separate Pokemon entirely, but they will look very similar to existing Pokemon and share possible name like similarities. Not exact same names, but similarities, right? Then we have the convergent species. Now, this is a totally separate thing, and here's how he describes it. A number of new Pokemon that look very similar to an old Pokemon. They're completely unrelated to their original counterpart, but look pretty much the same. Almost like a recolor. They can have different typings. These species are based on the convergent evolution concept from biology, if you want to look it up. They also have their own name and Pokedex number. Now, let me explain this one. This is the idea of, like, think of how animals in the wild have to mimic and adapt to look, you know, similar to another animal to be able to survive. So basically, think of it like this. If you take Diglett, which is based on a mole, right? Like a little mole that digs in the ground and whatnot. Take that concept, right? But then apply that to an animal that doesn't do that. Like, take that, like, the design of it, of, like, you know, Diglett or Dugtrio, take the design of it, but apply it to something that isn't a mole, that's, like, maybe a fish or something, right? That will work in a similar manner. So it's basically, like, you know, it's not a Diglett, it's not even Dugtrio, it's not in any way, like, you know, connected, but it's mimicking the design and the style of existing Pokemon. I made the connection to Mimikyu, but according to the Riddler and the Leaker, apparently it's more deep than that. It's deeper than that. It goes way, way deeper than that, which is interesting and strange. So that's that one. Then we also have, I guess, like the, whatchamacallit, the regular new evolutions, so cross-gen evolutions. What that means is basically Pokemon, like, think of Rhyperior, Electivire, and Magmortar. Those are cross-gen evolutions, right? Pokemon that, like, have evolutions in a different generation than when they originated from. For example, like I mentioned, Electivire and Magmar, those were introduced, and even Rhydon, those were introduced in what, like Gen 1? But they got, like, brand new evolutions, you know, later on. They even got, like, pre-evolutions first in Gen, like, they got cross-gen pre-evos in Gen 2, and then they got cross-gen evolutions in Gen 4. In this case, we've got quite a few new ones, and of course regular regional forms. But apparently, here's the numbers. Regional forms, there are only 2, and those 2 are the following ones that you guys can see on the screen right here. It is Wooper, which is going to be poison type, and it's Tauros. So those are the only regular regional forms that we'll have here, okay? It's the only regular regional forms we'll be receiving. Then we have the brand new evolutions, and those are as follows. Primeape and Wooper again. Now, why is Wooper there again? Well, the Wooper is not Wooper. It's the brand new cross-gen evolution for Wooper. As for Primeape, we're not sure if it's Primeape getting a cross-gen evo, so like Primeape evolving into an even bigger monkey, or if it's something else. We don't really truly know that exactly, but the Mankey evolutionary line is getting some kind of cross-gen evolution in some way or shape. So we'll see how that turns out down the line. But Wooper is getting a brand new evolution, so not a Quagsire form, but a brand new evo, right? It's a totally brand new evo. Then Murkrow is going to be getting a brand new evolution and whatnot, and we don't really know much info about this one. This one's very much unknown to everyone. Then Dunsparce is getting a brand new one, which could be based on the old beta design of Gyarados, which we've known about for ages now. That's what that one most likely could be based on. And then we have Girafarig, which you guys have probably seen the leaks and information about already. And adding to that, you know, the creme de la creme is, of course, Bisharp, which is probably getting a evolutionary split that is going to go in 2 directions, right? So we're going to see how that's going to turn out, but we might be getting that ourselves as well right there. So, you know, or actually, it's not going to go in 2 directions. It's going to get just a gender split, and that's about it. So that's what we know there, and that is the new evolutions. Then we have the ancient and future species, and here's where the big stuff happens. So first of all, we have the ancient ones that are most likely going to be in Scarlet, and that's Jigglypuff, Amoonguss. I'm going to skip over the middle one there, Volcarona. We're going to get back to that one. Possibly Salamence. That's not guaranteed. That's really only speculated because of the fact that Bagon as well as Larvitar were seen in the second trailer, and we were like, somebody was hinting at like the fact that possibly some sort of pseudo-legendaries might be getting ancient and future forms, and the only 2 that people can think of were like, you know, easily were these 2 because they were also in the trailer being shown being traded between Scarlet and Violet, which, yeah, you know, would make sense that people want to trade the only, trade the exclusive forms between each other, right? Then we have apparently 2, like, Gen 2 Pokemon that are going to be getting, like, ancient and future species. Those we do not know about just yet. And then over at the ancient species, we have Mr. Drevis also getting an ancient species. But none of these, by the way, ancient and future species, they will not be able to evolve or devolve, whatever. They'll just be in this one shape. Then we have the future species, which is Delibird. That one we don't really know much about. Glade, which is going to be basically a new evolution, or a new version, I guess, that's going to be a combo between Gardevoir and Glade, which is going to be quite interesting. And then we have, of course, the one we're skipping for now, and Tyranitar, as already mentioned, and of course, the brand new Gen 2 Pokemon. Now let's talk about Volcarona. Volcarona and another Pokemon are possibly going to be getting 2 forms, or 2 versions. One ancient species version of it, and one future version of it, right? So that means we're going to be having 2 different kinds of Volcaronas, and all these Pokemon here, these ancient and, future species, these will be very high tier. Let's just say like that. These will be like legendary status because they're so old or so futuristic and so different that they will be so strange to the world possibly. But we'll see if that's going to be actually true. I don't personally know if that's the case. I don't know if I agree with that theory, but you never know. Nonetheless, Volcarona is getting 2 forms, ancient form and a future form, apparently. Again, it's all speculation in my head, but at the end of the day, the leakers have been correct in the past, so we'll see what like ends up with the information providing us. Then we have the final section, which is the convergent species. Now, as I mentioned, we've already talked about this before a little bit, but apparently, of course, we know Diglett is getting a convergent species, and another Gen 1 water-type Pokemon is also, and this is the one where we were told by the Riddler that, you know, it's going to crawl out of the ocean onto land, right? So we just have to look at any of the water-type existing Pokemon and kind of try to figure out which one it could possibly be. But, of course, right now, there's still a lot of, you know, speculation about that and what it could be and couldn't be and all that. So keep that in mind. And that's pretty much that for that, lads. There is also this post here from Light, who's kind of listed some of the stuff that's been mentioned by Kaka and, of course, also by Ku. And I'm going to just quickly read through this because we already know a lot of this information, which is Palmy has a 3rd Evo. We saw it already, and he has a skill of 1 PP to revive 1 fainted Pokemon. New Flamingo Pokemon is Flying Fighting. 2nd stage evolution for Coco has an unhatched egg made of fire on its head. So that's a bit more descriptive. The final Evo for Coco will also have this Flame Bird in the head. Pawniard will have a new 2nd stage line. Actually, apparently it's not Pawniard, it is Bisharp. Maybe we'll make reference of the chess pieces. Seems Pawniard will have, well, I guess the other one, have Evo lines representing all the pieces of a chess, which is impossible, there's too many of them. The content of the gimmick has changed a little. No new evolution stones, which we already knew. Probably new Grand Bull Evo, which is something brand new, and probably Sunflora will have an ancient and future form, which, again, that info is a little bit hearsay, but we'll see what happens with that. No forms for Gumi line. Seems there is a Pokemon that received ancient and future forms at the same time. There's a new ice Pokemon that's a 2-stage Evo, similar to Glacier and Icicles. New Shio, I don't know what that's supposed to mean. Shio Pokemon with 2 stages of evolution. Seems Tyranitar will have a future form, which is not guaranteed. To be clarified, he said Iron plus Tyranitar, but don't confirm it. Dunsparce Evo seems the same as Dunsparce, but a little larger. Don't remember the type. New Engine Pokemon with 1 evolution, and Volcarona will receive past and future form. Fairy-type Hammer has 2 stages line, need to be clarified. Over 1,000 Pokemon. The Evo of Palmy we know is the 3rd Evo. The Gen 2 Pokemon gets both future and ancient forms. A new, I guess, you know, a new Pokemon. So I basically guess that like Gen 2 mentioned one, I guess, is a singular Pokemon getting in both a future and ancient form. Don't know which Pokemon it's going to be, but we'll see. And then there's a new Grass Fire Pokemon, which we already talked about. The new Dolphin Pokemon is a big surprise. The Hardcore Queen is most likely not related to Pawniard, but it's actually like got to be Glade. The new Concept Pokemon, ancient future forms, share a mutual ability or H ability or just some kind of ability. And it seems that all the pictures Ku has shown us on you know, Twitter have actually, like, you know, have been kind of already hinting at stuff. Like, you know, he says here, it seems that all the pics Ku showed us of the riddles tell us the appearances of the new Pokemon. A bull, fire starter, sliced puppy, transportation form of legendaries, small of Evo, etc. And basically, he's already hinted that for us, so we can go there and try to decipher it. And someone said, no, that all the starters for Gen 1 to 8 are not in the game. Ku said that is not true. So, would you guys think that, let's that be the question of the day, guys. Do you think previous generation starters will be available in this game? Yes or no? Let me know. I want to hear what you guys think. Just let me know in the comment section down below. And ladies and gentlemen, that's going to be it for today. Thank you all for watching. I'll be seeing you guys the next time. Man, it has been ridiculously warm right now. I'm going to be honest. It's been like ridiculously warm and ridiculously just dangerous, this weather, man. So stay safe, guys. Get yourself some drinks. I need to go get myself a drink because I am about to faint from like this. It's getting a little crazy now. So yeah, lads, again, thank you for all the support. Check out our other channels, by the way. You guys can check out Ruffled Plays. I've been putting a lot of work and effort into that channel over there. I have a recent video where I play as Champion Ash, which is pretty fun. Check that out. And also Ruffled Live, where I post these versus challenges against other Pokemon YouTubers that we interact with. So go check that out. Thank you for watching. I'll be seeing you guys the next time. Peace out and bye-bye, ladies and gentlemen.